It is September, which means it is my birthday month. It is my anniversary month, which hopefully translates to it's a lot of reading month. We shall see. Not only is this birthday month, anniversary month, everything else month, this is also, I guess, sequels month, because I am reading a whole lot of sequels to books that I have read in the last month or two. And this isn't completely intentional. It's just I've started new series that I've found interesting, and so I'm continuing that on, and they all just happen to be here in September. The first one being Bloody Rose by Nicholas Eames. This is, of course, the follow-up to Kings of the Wild, which I talked about in my wrap-up video for August, and then also I'm definitely going to do a review. So at some point you're going to be able to find an annotation here that connects to Kings of the Wild so that I can gush about that book. Gave it a full solid 5 stars. Here, Bloody Rose is simply the sequel. It's the follow-up. However, we're not following the same band of mercenaries. We're not following Saga from the first one. We're following Gabriel, one of the bandmates, the lead singer, actually, his daughter's crew here in Bloody Rose. I keep kind of wanting to lean over here because like I just got in the mail the book and I'm super excited. They look great and I'm super excited to start this new series with a new band. One of my favorite reviewers on all the web, Patrick, he talked about, I haven't read the full review, but in the first few sentences he says Nicholas Eames did it again, knocked it out of the park, and right now he's saying that it's the best sequel of all time. Oh, like, okay, sold? So it is 6 years after Kings of the Wild, and events that kind of transpired near the end of Kings of the Wild are probably playing themselves out here in this next story. Although this band is led by Bloody Rose, our main character, our protagonist, is not that. I believe that it is a bard that is wanting to join her crew from a town that the mercenary band comes through. So I'm super, super excited to get into it. I don't know much about it, which is great. I love going into these things blind, and I'll be able to report back on whether or not it's as good as it sounds like it's going to be. The second sequel that I'm going to be reading this month is A Torch Against the Night by Sabaa Tahir. Again, the final book in this series, in the Ember and the Ashes series, comes out in December. So I'm doing a reread of the first 3 so that I can be prepared for the epic conclusion. I don't want to give too much of the story away here, but Laia and Elias from the first story are now continuing forward. Laia is still wanting to rescue her family member, and Elias is pledged to help her. It really is just a follow-up from the events that happen at the end of An Ember and the Ashes. And again, love Saba's writing. I've read this book before. This one's a reread. I have given this in the past 5 full stars, so I'll have to see if this time coming through I like it. What will be interesting, because I don't fully remember, is if I like this more or a little bit less than the first one, An Ember and the Ashes. Sequels are always like hit or miss. Sometimes, especially in trilogies, the second one might be a miss because it's just like, I knew what I was going to do for the first one, and then for the second one had to come up with a story to get them to where I wanted them to be in the conclusion of the third one. Or it could be the best of the trilogy because it builds out characters more and gives you more time with them and builds out the world a little bit more. I think this is what this might be, but it's not a trilogy. This is going to be a quint. There's going to be 4 of them, a quintology. It's going to be 4. Moving right along, I'm going to read this one graphic novel this month. My intentions are not to read a lot of graphic novels this month, but this is the sequel. It is the follow-up to the first entry in the Vaatu series that is still ongoing. This is Vaatu, the Sword and the Sacrament. I started reading this graphic novel series, this really webcomic series by Evan Dom last month, and I've included it in my 10 graphic novels that you must read if you're wanting to get into the genre. You can watch that video in the annotations, but this is just charming, and it's an incredible story, an incredible world that is being created in these beautifully illustrated pictures. I've loved the first one. Not tons has happened. This young girl, Vaatu, has been taken from her tribe, her
nomadic tribe and forced into indentured servant. What is the word? Servitude in this advanced imperial civilization, and she's got a friend of a different species than her, of this like war form guy. Anyways, he can't talk, he's mute, and they're building a bond, a relationship while she's enslaved. It's just beautiful, and it's beautifully illustrated. You can watch it, you can look at them right now for free. The link is in the show notes down below. Get started on it, see if it pulls you in. A new entry, it's still not complete, a new entry is released every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Get on it. And then for a few that are not sequels, they have sequels, but they in themselves are not. In fact, this one's a first entry in probably a new series that I'll be super excited about. The series is called the Aurelian Cycle. I don't know how to pronounce that. The book is called Fireborn by Rosaria Munda. The tagline is Games of Thrones meets Red Rising in a debut young fantasy that's full of rivalry, romance, and dragons. I mean, if that doesn't sound intriguing, but it also sounds like thousands of other books. The thing that intrigued me about this one is the author said that one of her inspirations for this story was the French Revolution. Well, my wife is absolutely obsessed with the French Revolution, and so by proxy, I too know a lot about the French Revolution, and so it intrigues me. A fantasy story about two different individuals that I think are falling in love, but are in two different kind of sects or sections of their civilization, and they should not intertwine, but they do, and all of the drama that it comes around with that, and also dragons. So that sounds like a whole lot of fun, and I've seen mixed reviews, but I'm good for a young adult novel every once in a while. They tend to move pretty fast and give us the tropes that come with the genre, but as long as it's fun and it's exciting and it's somewhat of a fresh take, then I'm here for it. And so I'm definitely excited about trying out Fireborn, and I think the cover is simplistic but also beautiful. The next book is again the start of what will be a series, or what is a series. It's called Savage Legion by Matt Wallace, and this is an epic fantasy. In fact, I believe that it just recently came out. This is like in July is this first entry, and it's an epic fantasy. 3 different protagonists, all in different kind of spheres and avenues, areas of their life. One character is kind of dealing with more of the military fantasy. Another deals with urban social life, and then a third is a clever paraplegic taken from the streets to work behind the scenes for a shadowy organization. So I talked about this in 5 recent books that are coming out or have just come out that you might be interested in. You can check out that video in the annotations. I've heard that it's slow, but I'm gonna give it a go. And because I like the idea of the premise. Epic fantasy scares me a little bit because that's a lot of time and energy and effort to devote into something like that. I'm already like one epic fantasy is enough for me right now, and I'm kind of doing Stormlight Archive in my life for the next 20 years. But maybe I can squeeze in another. Let's check out Savage Legion. Finally, kind of another one, just kind of toning it down a little bit, is Renegades by Marissa Meyer. I don't believe that I've read any other books by Meyer so far, but this one is kind of just a fun little story where you've got your superheroes, but it's post the events of them defeating the villains and kind of bringing a new peace and a new reality to the world around them. Our protagonist, however, is not one of them. In fact, she's like an orphan, I believe, that has a grudge against the superheroes because of what they did. And so she's out for vengeance. She connects with a boy that's out for justice, and they're going after the heroes. That sounds fun. I think it's been done before, but still, it's a unique angle. It's a different angle, and the cover. I put purple and blue together and call it a YA thing and give me a little bit of magic, and like I'm a sucker for those things. So I think that this is going to be a fun one, a light read. That being said, it is some like 550 pages, which is longer than I would typically go for a YA novel, but I did see this at the bookstore the other day, picked it up, and so I'm excited about getting into this one. Well, that is my TBR for birthday month of September 19th, by the way.
Feel free to send gifts. I don't have a P.O. box, so send gifts instead of gifts. That won't do anything for me. But you can follow me on Twitter and help me reach 500. I'm still a ways away, but what if I could reach 500 by my birthday? That would be pretty crazy, but I would love 500 subs. That's fine and fun. And now I'm sounding greedy. Like, just live your life and don't worry about me. But thank you for watching this video. Let me know if you've read any of these books down below in the comments. Don't spoil anything. And if you haven't yet, click like and subscribe. Join the Dragon Army. And we'll see you in the next video.